In 2012, I was a delegate to the United Methodist General Conference. It's a gathering of about 1,000 delegates from around the world in order to make decisions for the United Methodist Church. It happens every 4 years. We usually meet at a convention center, a pretty large space. 2012, we were in Tampa. And at every general conference, there's a room. And by room, I mean the size of about a football field or larger, one of the big rooms in the conference center. And in this room, every general board and agency, our bookstore, and any other grouping within the United Methodist Church gets to have a display. Some kind of booth or display area in which they can do, for the most part, what they want. And delegates walk around this space collecting free giveaways. It's kind of one of the first places you hit when you get to General Conference. You can get pens, umbrellas. In 2016, I got a pizza cutter. Post-it notes, mugs, t-shirts, pamphlets. The list goes on. You almost have to take another bag just for the free giveaways at General Conference. Thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe even millions, are spent by the boards and agencies filling up this space in the conference room. Computers, handouts, food, it's incredible. And in 2012, the display that caught my attention the most, the display that I thought was the most powerful and perhaps really the most church, was the United Methodist Women's display area. In their allotted space, a simple green sign was there, and it read, "In 600 square feet, it is impossible to show 143 years of women in mission. The work our members are doing in their churches and communities every day, the lives transformed through the global ministries of the church, and all the ways United Methodist women will move into the next 143 years. So instead, we used the money to fully fund the seminary education of 2 female local pastors in Cameroon." Their display area was empty, except for that sign. Yes! Instead of spending thousands of dollars on free giveaways and shiny displays, which really, odds are, most end up in the trash, they use the money to enrich someone's life. And not just the lives of those 2 women, the lives of all the work those women will do to touch the lives of others. An empty display that did justice, loved kindness, and walked humbly with God. I have to offer a disclaimer. I'm a lifelong United Methodist, born and raised here in the Denver area, and so I've grown up with United Methodist women. And fortunately, I grew up with an appreciation not only for the work that UMW units do locally in the churches, but also the work that UMW does globally. And I found that it's our global work that most people aren't even aware of. So I'm going to offer just a small glimpse of that. The United Methodist Women officially began in 1869 with 8 women in Boston. These 8 women were sitting with 2 wives of missionaries from India, hearing stories about the spiritual and the physical needs of children and women in India. They were distressed with these stories. They were saddened, and they wanted to respond. And so they organized. A small group of 8 women organized to reach out to women and children in India. And from that small group, in 1869, millions of women and children have been served around the globe. They took a leap of faith, you might say. The purpose of the United Methodist Women states, "United Methodist Women shall be a community of women whose purpose is to know God and to experience freedom as whole persons through Jesus Christ, to develop creative, supportive fellowship, and to expand concepts of mission through participation in the global ministries of the church." They have a vision statement also, and it reads, "United Methodist Women is turning faith, hope, and love into action on behalf of women, children, and youth in the world." This is done locally. One example is our United Methodist Women's Spring Tea a couple weeks ago. They didn't just gather for tea. That tea was used to collect items, diapers, other needs for children and babies that low-income women couldn't afford to purchase themselves. A tea turned into service. And this work is done at the global level as well. United Methodist Women partners with over 200 organizations in nearly 80 countries to empower women, children, and youth. They build relationships not only with Methodists around the globe, but with other ecumenical and grassroots programs, and they focus on issues of health, gender equality, elimination of violence amongst women, support for uprooted and marginalized people. UMW works to recognize the needs in their own communities and in communities around the globe. They work for peace. They work for healing and reconciliation. They work for empowerment. It's been their mission for almost 150 years. We don't talk about that enough. I think it's something to be proud of as United Methodists. I can't actually say enough about the work of UMW at the local and global levels. And if you're interested in learning more, they have a fantastic website that would take hours to go through and really understand how much they do. They've become a force in the world, and it began with 8 women in Boston. 8 women who heard of a need and responded by taking this leap of faith. And it continues now with women who serve in America and across the globe. And so it seemed fitting on Mother's Day to remember these 8 women and women throughout history who have taken that leap in order to serve others. Women who are mothers, women who chose not to be mothers, women who not by their own choice were unable to be mothers. We celebrate the women who took a leap of faith. And we also celebrate the women who have taught us to do that same, who have taught us that we are able, we are capable, who have shown us love, who have taught us to believe in ourselves. The supporters often in the background. I can think of a few of those folks in my own life, and I wonder if you can as well. And in thinking of this, I was reminded of an event I went to in March. I was able to spend a weekend with our confirmation group on a retreat. As part of the experience, the youth have a choice to participate in a high ropes course, and then another event called the Leap of Faith. The high ropes course, which we have a picture of, it's a combination of climbing and balance and adrenaline, and what I think is faith and the support ropes that they will keep you up even if you fall. The course ends with a zip line ride. I hadn't intended to do the high ropes course, and then there was a couple slots. And since my daughter had done it, I felt like I had to step up and do it too. I'll be honest, I enjoyed most of it except the zip line at the end. I don't want to do that one again. But then there's the leap of faith. And that was something I had no intention of trying, and I didn't. That's the leap of faith. It is a pole. The youth climb a tree trunk, pulled, pushed, finagled themselves up without anything to support or help them. Balanced. When you climb up it, you're actually facing backwards, so you have to turn around. And this tree trunk isn't wide enough for both of your feet to stand on solidly, so you have to turn around, and then you count to 3 and you jump. And you hope you reach the pole that's in front of you. This is Jack Ramsey as he's making his climb. I was more than happy to stay on the ground and cheer as the youth were climbing up. Many of our youth climbed the tree trunk and jumped. And many of us stood on the ground, and that was actually one of my favorite parts, was listening to the other youth and the adults cheer on each youth as they climbed, as they took that leap of faith. And whether or not they were able to reach the bar, they jumped, which I thought was enough. And then there's the next picture, which is perhaps my favorite image. This is Jack Airy in mid-leap, reaching for his destination. It's not a close bar. You have to jump. And for some reason, this brings to mind Mother's Day. It does. Because Mother's Day reminds me of the women who have stood on the ground supporting our leaps of faith. The women throughout our personal histories and our history as a whole who have joined together to support, to educate, to advocate, to serve others. The women who have told our youth they can do that. And whether these women were moms or not, we take this day to remember and celebrate. This day is about more than cards and candy. It's the recognition of the role of mothers and the mother figures who play a part in helping us find peace and healing, in helping us find motivation, believe in ourselves so that we can take that leap. And the history of United Methodist Women continues to call us into action and service, to be the people who are willing to jump and to be the people on the ground who are supporting. It's a story that reminds us of the power and potential found when we respond to God with love and faith. When we do justice and love kindness and walk humbly with our God, we can take that leap of faith and make a difference in the lives of those around us and the lives of those around the world. I love that picture. Man, if that could be the motto for our lives, what a leap. Imagine if we were all willing to take that leap of faith, not knowing if we're going to catch the bar, not knowing what our accomplishment might or might not be, or as Sam reminded us in the children's moment, sometimes it's the failure that we learn the most from. If we could all take that leap. Today we celebrate the women who have made that possible, and we give thanks. Amen.